Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my new video. Today's video I'm going to be talking a bit more about Rishi Sunak and Liz Truss. I'm also going to be talking about how Gazprom has further reduced the gas output from Nord Stream 1. And I'm also going to be talking about the impacts of global warming. As you know, Europe and Britain has been having huge heat waves over the past few weeks, and literally they can't take it, especially Britain. They just don't know what to do. They have no plan whatsoever. The whole country seems to shut down whenever there's a heat wave. So I'm going to be talking about that, the economic costs of it. Before I start, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, whatever you can to help support the channel. You can also buy me a coffee as well. Let's not waste any time and get on with the show. So if you thought that Rishi Sunak's gonna be kind to China, you were wrong. He has come out to be very hawkish towards China. And so yesterday he had a debate with Liz Truss, and they are both arguing about who's going to be tougher on China. And it seems to be the main talking point throughout the discussion. All I could hear is China this, China that. I mean, what about what they're going to do about Britain? What they're going to do about the cost of living? What they're going to do about the inflation? You know, all they seem to be talking about is China and who's going to be tough on China, who's going to be tough on China this, tough on China that. And somebody must have told Rishi Sunak, said, you know, Rishi, you're going to lose this leadership contest because unless you start bashing China, and that's the only way you will win. So guess what? He comes out of the races and starts bashing China, saying he's going to shut down all of these Chinese schools, and China is the biggest threat to UK. I mean, look at this. He says China is the largest threat to the UK. And then he says he's going to shut down all of these Chinese schools and institutes as well. He says the program to tackle alleged Chinese threat includes closing all of 30th China's Confucius institutes in the UK, which are instrument to Beijing's soft power. I mean, this guy's going way over the top. I really have no idea what the hell he's doing. He's almost like he sold his soul to the devil. You know, if you actually sit down with Rishi Sunak, or if you sit down with Liz Truss, and you look them in the eye, and you say to them, what has China done to UK for you to be so anti-Chinese? Can you answer that? I bet you any money, Rishi Sunak's going to be like, I'm not sure. And if you ask Liz Truss the same question, she's going to be like thinking about it, thinking, what's China done to us? They're the biggest threat. But why are they the biggest threat? Why? Can you explain to me why China is UK's largest threat? Please explain to me that. They are not going to explain it because China is not UK's largest threat. China is UK's largest trading partner. You know, right now, UK's largest threat is probably Russia because of the Ukraine war. But why is China UK's largest threat? Just makes no sense. You can understand if they said Russia or something. But what has China done to UK? Nothing. It's absolutely crazy. If you ask America who's their biggest threat, they will say China, and you can understand why, because China is on the other side of the Pacific. They are a huge economic power, rising power, so obviously America would find them a threat. But why is UK finding China a threat? It just makes no sense. And this ridiculous chat they were having last night, debate, and he's all anti-Chinese this. Oh no, I'm going to be more anti-Chinese than you. No, I'm going to be more anti-Chinese than you. They're basically battling to see who's more anti-Chinese than each other. It's absolutely the most hilarious thing I've ever seen in my life. These guys are going to be worse than Boris, I'll tell you that now. And if you thought Rishi Sunak's going to be a milder version of the UK Prime Minister than Liz Truss, well, you're wrong. You can see what he's been saying over the past day or two. So I saw this article as well. I thought this article was pretty good. confronting Russia and China has become the main talking point as Rishi Sunak and Liz Truss try to out-hawk each other. And they basically trying to out-hawk each other. And, forget about what's happening in the world in terms of economics, even in terms of inflation. There was no plan for the cost of living crisis. But what they want to do, they want to cut all ties with China. Do you really think that's going to help with the cost of living crisis? Do you really think that's going to help with inflation by cutting off China, by being mean to China? I mean, these guys are absolutely off their rockers. So then you have this article on Daily Mail, which I saw the other day. So in this Daily Mail article, Ian Duncan Smith, I don't know why he's been knighted as Sir, by the way. This guy is absolutely useless. So he used to be an ex-Liberal Party leader. So he's saying that Rishi is not hawkish enough, he's not anti-Chinese enough. So basically, all of these politicians in the backbenches are basically egging on Liz, egging on Rishi, saying, you're not hawkish enough against China, you're not hawkish enough against Russia, you need to be more hawkish, you need to be more stronger, you need to be clamping down on China. So all of these backbenchers are basically egging them on. And now Rishi, who has been very, very... when he was Chancellor, he was very, very kind of... he was quite soft on China, but he knew that he needed China for economic prospects and stuff, so he didn't want to come down too hard. Now has suddenly sold his soul, and is going all out just to be the Tory leader. He's absolutely sold his soul, this guy. Absolutely despicable. It's crazy how these politicians think. You basically... he would basically probably sell off his own grandma if he meant he would win the Tory election. It's absolutely sickening how these Tory leaders work, really. So I just want to say that none of these leaders are going to be any good for UK. I think they're both going to be taking down the UK. They have no plan whatsoever to get UK out of this mess. They're going to put it into a bigger mess. And it's a shame. It's a shame, really. I think I need to start looking for a new job abroad and start looking to move abroad, because the UK is not going to be very good over the next few years. It's going to suffer severely. So we'll see what happens. So Russia's Gazprom has disabled a second pipeline turbine. Now Nord Stream 1 is going to be going at a reduced 20% capacity. Again, this is all down to Germany's fault. This is all down to EU's fault. One of the main reasons they built Nord Stream 2, which is a parallel to Nord Stream 1, so they can do maintenance on Nord Stream 1, and when there's maintenance happening in Nord Stream 1, the gas can flow freely through Nord Stream 2. There would have been no issues, but what do? They shut down Nord Stream 2. And obviously these maintenance stuff that happens on Nord Stream 1, this is nothing new. Maintenance has been happening for years, and this is one of the reasons why they built the Nord Stream 2. So gas carries on pumping regardless of how maintenance that needs to be done. So it is UK's and EU's own fault that we're in this mess. So what's EU doing? So basically they're asking all countries to ration gas. So this is an emergency plan, calls on member states to lower consumption by 15%. So basically they're asking all of these EU countries to lower consumption by 15%. So I'll tell you one thing, consumption is not going to be lowered by the people, especially during winter. People are going to be having their gases on and heaters on. They're going to be trying to keep warm. So any lowering consumption will have to come through industry. So you're basically asking countries to lower their industry, lower their costs when it comes to businesses and stuff. And this means the EU will obviously go down. EU countries will take a hit in terms of their GDP. So I just want to ask this question: when these EU guys are all clamoring around a round table, trying to outdo each other, sanctioning Russia. Did they really think that all of this will backfire on them at one point? Because it looks like, they didn't really read the small print. And the small print says, oh, if you throw all of these sanctions at Russia, you're going to have to lower your consumption by 15%. Your industry is going to be going down. Your people are going to be cold during the winter. Do you think any of them actually thought about things like that? No, they didn't. They all clamored around, and you can see this lady in the middle, Ursula. They all clamored around her, getting her advice, and she was standing up saying, oh, we're going to give one to Putin. His economy is going to crumble. His economy is already crumbling. The rubles turn into rubble. And all of these things, and people are standing up and giving standing ovations. And then Zelensky comes on and gives them a standing ovation. And now, where's the standing ovation when Ursula mentions that all the member states have to lower their consumption by 15%? Where's the standing ovation now? It's absolutely ridiculous. Seriously, it's a joke, absolute joke. So these guys are basically followed this woman off the top of a cliff, and she's obviously followed Biden off the top of a cliff. So they've got nobody to blame but themselves, to be honest. So this is a story for UK, and many of you who don't know, UK's national dish is fish and chips. UK cannot live without fish and chips. People love fish and chips here. And one of the things that people in UK will be really, really annoyed about is if the cost of fish and chips rises. And you can see here, fish and chips cost could skyrocket in price as cost of ingredients soars amid cost of living crisis. And I can tell you right now that the cost of fish and chips has doubled in my local shops, doubled compared to what they were last year. And they're going to basically triple probably compared to last year very, very soon. And people are already starting to complain. I mean, I've heard people not just talk about fish and chips, but everything in UK is doubled. If you go to a chicken shop, you buy a chicken burger, the cost of the chicken burger has doubled. Cost of butter, drinks, margarine, everything has gone up almost by double price. And when UK says that, our inflation is 9.4%, 9.6%, that's BS. Absolute BS. How can inflation be 9.4% or 10% when you go to the supermarkets and the cost of everything has doubled? If the cost of something has doubled, the inflation rate is 100%. So I just don't understand where they get this figure 9.4%, 9.6% when everything has doubled almost. And they're now putting security tags on food items because people are stealing it. It's absolutely ridiculous. So we also want to talk about long COVID as well. I mean, Britain has pretty much decided that they're going to not going to be pushing people for vaccination. They're not going to be doing any more lockdowns. They'll want to get some sort of herd immunity. So what's happening right now? A lot of people are getting COVID, and there's a lot of people who are getting long COVID. And scientists have found out that long COVID causes erectile dysfunction and hair loss as symptoms list widens. And this is really bad news, and this is the problem of having a herd immunity. You just don't know what these long COVID issues that cause. And I can understand they don't want to have more lockdowns, they don't want to have more they don't want to, get people to put face masks on because people are not happy about it. But, it's just one of those things, what do you do? Do you carry on with draconian measures, or do you just let it happen and let people have COVID and let people have the immunity? Well, the problem is long COVID, and you can see 2 million people in UK have got it, and that's a big number. That's a huge number, 2 million people. And I just don't know. It's not one of those things I can answer, not one of the things I can give my opinions on. Let's move on. So I'm going to be talking about the economic costs of having heat waves in the EU. I don't know about the EU much, but in UK, the whole country just stops when there's a heat wave. And you can see that this article says heat wave has vaporized millions of pounds from the UK economy. I think it's more than that. It's much, much more. When I was around UK during the heat waves, all the trains have stopped. Most planes had stopped as well. And a lot of the businesses had stopped. A lot of agriculture stuff had stopped. When it comes to the EU, you can see between 1980 and 2020, countries in the European Economic Area are estimated to have lost between 450 billion euros and 520 billion due to weather and climate-related events. The financial toll could be increasing in coming years. Then you have this article here. With more frequent and longer heat waves, European countries will have to face yearly economic losses of 3% of their GDP. So I want to also talk about climate change or global warming. You know, a lot of papers always seems to say the word climate change. You know, this is not climate change, and you can see here climate change projections. We are not dealing with climate change here. Climate change has been going on since the beginning of time. Climate change means the earth gets hotter and colder, and it's been happening from the beginning of time. You know, climate change happens on earth because this is a natural phenomena. The difference is global warming, and global warming is part of climate change, but it's not exactly climate change. Global warming is basically what it says on the tin. The earth is basically getting warmer, and due to more carbon dioxide being in the atmosphere, and this keeps all of the heat in and makes the earth warmer. So that's global warming. That is not climate change. So let's get that straight. So a lot of people seem to say climate change this, climate change that. It is not. It is global warming. So what are they doing about global warming? First of all, with all of this stuff that's happening in Ukraine, all of these sanctions they've placed on Russia, what are the European countries doing? Well, they're burning more coal. And coal is one of the biggest things that causes more carbon dioxide. So they don't have enough gas. They don't have enough nuclear facilities. They don't have enough solar power, because in Europe, especially UK, there's not much sun. It only, happens a few weeks a year. Rest of the time it's cloudy, it's miserable. There's not enough wind either. Especially in UK, there are a lot of wind farms. Unfortunately, there's not been hardly any wind happening in UK, so they're not been getting any power from there. Same in Europe. So where else they're gonna get their energy from? They have literally shot themselves in the foot when it comes to cheap Russian gas. So they're gonna have to get very high, expensive LNG. And everyone knows to get a really expensive LNG, you need all the terminals to be set up. You need the infrastructure. You need more ships that deliver LNG, and that infrastructure is going to take another 5-10 years. A lot of money to be invested in it, and so that leaves European countries and EU only one choice: is to burn more coal to get power, and this is what they're doing. The energy output that's required in Europe, it is much more. Every year it is rising. It's rising because every year people need more energy. So for example, you have a bigger, faster laptop, you buy a bigger TV, you buy an electric car, and nowadays everything is an IoT device. When I say IoT device, everything is digital. You can have a digital fridge, you can have a digital cupboard, Everything is pretty much digital nowadays. So obviously digital things need power. You need to charge them. So everything needs a more electrical output. So the world needs more and more energy every single year. Every single year there's new devices coming out. They need more energy. For example, the iPhone you have today, iPhone 13, 14, requires a lot more energy than it did 10 years ago when the first iPhones came out. So do you know what I mean? Every single device will need more and more energy, which means when the world transitions to electric cars as well, these electric cars will need more energy. And I also want to talk about electric cars. I'm going to do a separate video about this. People think that electric cars will save the world and it's going to get rid of all CO2 emissions. But I'm going to basically do a video on it and prove to you that electric cars are not going to save the world. Cars only produce a very small percentage of CO2 compared to what other things do. Most of the things that produce CO2 is industry, agriculture, properties, construction. There's obviously planes, there's obviously ships, and then you also got to look at the military as well. The US military is one of the largest producers of CO2. Cars are only a very, very small percentage, and I'll give you the numbers when I do the video. And why have people said electric cars are going to save the world? Because motorists or drivers are easy targets, and drivers have always been easy targets, especially in UK. If you're a UK driver, you are an easy target. The government will squeeze a lot of money out of you. If you drive on the bus lane or you take the wrong turn, you will get a fine. If you park somewhere and say you go for shopping and you come back maybe 2 minutes late, you're going to get a parking ticket. And then you're going to have to pay another £100. And do you know what I mean? Motorists have been easy targets for the government to make money out of. They have speed cameras every single place. And these speed cameras, it's not about safety anymore. It's about making money. Hundreds and thousands of people get caught in speed cameras per road. Millions and millions of drivers get caught in speed cameras. There's all this congestion charging. If you forget to pay the congestion charge, you get charged £100. It is absolutely getting ridiculous. The government has found that it's easy money to get money out of motorists. Easy money. And that's what they've been doing. So motorists have been easy targets. And that's why they're targeting motorists. They're saying you need to move to electric cars because it's more money for the government. And it's just a way of them kind of making money out of drivers and people who drive. And motorists have always been easy targets. But that's not going to solve global warming, or it's not going to solve anything, any CO2 issue. So you see all of these climate changes, all of these climate accords, in Paris Climate Accord, you have the COP26, you have the COP27, and you have the British guy in COP26 who was crying and blaming China and blaming India, saying, I tried to bring down CO2, but China and India are the biggest producers of CO2. We're all gonna die. That's what he was doing. He was literally crying crocodile tears. And now look at him. He's basically sanctioning all of these coal fires and to be burnt in UK. There's a lot more coal stations being opened all over UK, all over Europe. It's absolutely crazy. Coal prices are just shot through the roof as well. If you look at the coal prices, they are shooting through the roof. And guess where they have to get coal from? They have to get it from Russia. They have to get it from China. It's beyond belief. Anyway, that's all I have time for today, guys. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the next video.